3, 2, 1.
Racing World is presented by Race Control Magazine. And a very good day to you all, and welcome into the Racing World podcast. We're getting all technical on it now. I'm Darcy Waldegrave, locked somewhere in Glen Eden, where I've got my two stooges who are lurking somewhere up in Waitaki.
Stooges. Well, look, you might be remote from us, but since you're not here, we've had a nice coffee, all sorts of things. So you don't know what you're missing out on, stooge.
Well, okay, fine. I'll go and make myself shall I leave now and go and make myself a nice coffee? That's our public Murray over there with the Haas top on. Of course, David Turner there. And we are coming to you to bring you the latest and greatest in motorsport. We've got a very special guest on the program today. His name is Liam Lawson. If you haven't heard of him, well, you probably should have done by now, but you find out more about Liam when he joins the show. We're on Radio Public. We're on Anchor FM. We're on Spotify. Of course, we're on YouTube as well. So if you're lucky enough to be on YouTube, you're looking at our pretty faces, please like, please subscribe, and please share so we can carry on stooging it when it comes to all things motorsport. I suppose we better get to Liam sooner rather than later. But boys, what else have we got on the program today?
I think we've got to talk briefly, I suppose, about the Grand Prix in Bahrain and the obvious incident times two, because Lance Stroll didn't cover himself in glory there. He covered himself in a car when he was upside down, but that's about all. And we've got a couple of things going on in New Zealand over the weekend, the South Island Formula Ford, and there's a big deal at Pukekohe. We've got Formula 2 with Marcus Armstrong, but we'll gloss over all that. We'll talk about all that because there's no way we're going to be able to cover the Grand Prix in the 15 or 20 minutes that we've got, because a lot happened. But I guess the first thing we should do really is talk with Liam Lawson, eh?
Without further ado, let's do it. Young hot shoe Liam Lawson, definitely on the up and up, joins us next on the Racing World podcast. And we've got a fleeting visit on the program now from none other than Liam Lawson, who's had a cracking 2020. Well, I presume he had. Liam, welcome to the program. How's it been for you, 2020? Can you encapsulate that in the space of a paragraph?
Yeah, wow. It's been pretty crazy. Obviously, first of all, with COVID, the season was all over the place. The whole series was compacted into 11 weeks. So we had 9 rounds of racing in 11 weeks. So it was like TRS in New Zealand, but I guess times 2 with traveling not just in the same country, but all over the world. So yeah, it was all over the place. But I think it suited me a little bit more having done those 2 years of TRS, because I guess I was more used to that style of racing than a lot of other guys. But no, I really enjoyed it.
Liam, you're on the plane tonight, back off to the Middle East in a test in the F2. What's the game plan there?
Obviously, yeah, it's a very important test. For me, the main thing is to just learn as much as I can. Obviously, the team now has been racing there the last 2 weekends, last weekend and this weekend. So it's just important for me to learn as much as I can off the data that they already have. Also, if my teammate is going to be quite experienced in the car. He's done the last couple of races as well. So it's basically going to be a big learning 3 days. It's always hard to tell in testing where you are on the leaderboard because all teams are doing their own run plan and sort of doing their own stuff. But for me, it's just going to be learning as much as I can. And I guess that'll be the most important thing.
I mean, you're in the press release that your manager, Grant McDonald, sent out. And I've got to say, Grant's doing a fantastic job for you there. It says this is nothing more than a test. You don't want to get in any discussions or whatever about what happens afterwards. But in the back of your mind, in the back of everybody's mind, there's got to be the hope, the expectation, even the plan to go into Formula 2 this coming year.
Yeah, it's definitely the goal, obviously, and it would be amazing if that would happen. So, but he is right. You know, this is just a test. This is for me to learn as much as I can to if I do end up racing the car next year, I want to learn as much as I can over these 3 days because they'll be, I guess, the main 3 days leading up to that. So, yeah, at this stage, I don't know how it will affect next year's plan. Obviously, it's important to go well anyway because from the Red Bull side of things as well. They want to see you do well. So I'll drive as fast as I can, and then we'll see what happens after that.
And will you be? Do you think you'll be coming back here for Christmas, or are you staying over there, or what are you doing?
So my next month is going to be pretty crazy. Flights at the moment to get to places. I'm taking more flights to get to Bahrain than I normally have to take to get to Europe. So I'm taking 3 flights to get there and 3 flights home. So I go over today. I leave to come home on the 11th. And then obviously I spend 2 weeks in quarantine and I won't be out. So I won't be back at my house until the 27th. So about a month and a month of travel plus quarantine for a 3-day test. So it's going to be pretty full on.
Yeah, I think it's well worth it. I would do that. I'd throw in an arm and a leg as well, Liam. I appreciate you got to fly quite literally. Hopefully we can catch up with you again soon at some stage. Thanks very much for joining us on the Racing World podcast.
No worries. That would be good. Thank you very much.
I would like to draw your attention to the Driver of the Year. How are we going with that? Have we got any people actually voting for the Driver of the Year? And how are you guys sitting with There are so many drivers. I know which way I would lean for a very good reason, but maybe you guys want to present a case. Is it worth doing?
Yeah, well, we've had a few comments come in. One of them was Scott, and then they didn't say which Scott. So I replied back to that comment saying which Scott, and they went, well, D comes before M in the alphabet. So I'm assuming they mean Dixon.
Incidentally, that was from Howden Ganley. Howden Ganley in America made that comment. So Howden, who's actually imposed himself to be our style counsellor. So Howden, we appreciate your style. You've always been a very well-dressed man, sir. That's all.
Hopefully I scrub up all right this week. And then there's been a few for SVG, as you'd expect. So, that's where the voting seems to be going at the moment. But, one more week and then we close the votes and announce the winner. So I don't know. I've got my feeling on who I'd like to see take it.
What, are we allowed to? Unlike Jacinda Ardern, we're actually allowed to say the way we vote, or do you have to leave it till after the referendum comes through?
It's not actually law defining this or anything like that, does this is go for it. Go on. Take a risk.
Well, I love Gisbergen because of what Shane Van Gisbergen does in the car and what he does in several cars. I think Scott McLaughlin, the fact that he transferred across from winning yet another title in a superb vehicle with a great team and then running across to IndyCar was really quite something else. You look at guys like Liam Lawson. Marcus Armstrong, unfortunately, hasn't made the great leap. But for me, it's got to be Scott Dixon. It's got to be Scott Dixon for a couple of reasons. A, where he sits in the stratosphere, in that rarefied air of open wheel racing in the United States of America. He's pretty much second to one of the greats of all time. But the way he started his season off with such dominance, the way it collapsed away from him and he hung on. The Iceman proved his nickname beyond a doubt. He hung on by the skin of his teeth with that final race in St. Pete's that we didn't even think was going to happen. That was probably the most stressful hour and a half I've spent sitting in front of television. But true to form, he put that all to the back of his mind and he did what he had to do when it really mattered and picked up yet another title. So for me, it's Scott Dixon.
Yeah, well, I'm not disagreeing, but I'll wait for the official votes because I don't want to sway the votes, party political message and all that stuff. But yeah, without a doubt, and Autosport magazine in the UK, highly respected magazine, he's nominated for an award there as well, which is a real award, unlike our one. But
is it real?
Yeah, it's real. Well, we're called not the Hellberg Award, but we won't go there either. But I think every New Zealand driver's done well this year that's been represented overseas. You tend to forget about people like Brendan Hartley, and yet you're talking Le Mans and things like that. There's so many drivers, and we've said it time and time again, that are batting well above their weight, if you like. So go New Zealand all round.
Yeah.
And guys, just a wee word on Marcus Armstrong, who didn't have the best start to the season, but he appears to have gone slightly better toward the back end, which is the polar opposite to what Scott Dixon has done. Marcus, of course, promised big things in Formula 2, didn't quite achieve it. Where is he sitting at the moment, Bob?
Sitting in the championship, I don't know because I didn't do the points after the weekend. I was just looking at his performance, which he qualified well, and he finished seventh on in the first race, the feature race. So started from the front row effectively of the sprint race, and he finished fourth there, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. So it's not a stunning performance by any means, but after the mare of a season he's had in many ways, I think he could be well pleased with his performance out there this weekend gone, and he's now got another weekend to come as well. So we'll just see how he goes, but certainly I think he somehow or other got to change things around, and I think he started to change things around there. It's not because of talent. We know he's got all the talent in the world. There's, as I said before, I think there's just a little disconnect between him and the car and the team and handling the tyres or whatever. But we'll just see. I don't know. It's just a shame that as a Ferrari driver academy, so many of the others have gone on to, having possible test drives, possible Formula One drives. When you come to one of them, who knows? But yeah, I'm sure he'll come through eventually if he gets another season there, and I hope he does.
I think it highlights the fact that these young drivers of ours, whether it be Marcus or Liam Lawson or whoever, but particularly Marcus in this instance, because we're talking about him, they're playing it at a high level. They're not playing at grassroots motorsport here. This is big money game, big pressure game, and no matter who they are, you've got to commend them for everything they're doing. And okay, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but so many times we become knockers of things. Doesn't matter which sporting code, because it just seems to be part of our culture. But the bottom line fact is he's doing it, and he's doing a pretty good job, really.
Perspective Group is a leading media production company based in Auckland, New Zealand. Established in 2009 by former TVNZ producer David Turner, Perspective Group offers you a vast arrangement of media options to fit any size or budget. It covers truly global services supported by some of New Zealand's leading media talents. For more information, contact Perspective Group Limited at perspectivegroupltd@gmail.com and check out the website perspectivegroupltd.com, where you'll find even more information on creating your media solutions.
You have a dream. You have all the drive in the world. You have talent to burn. Now all you need is a chance. Toyota are committed to developing and nurturing New Zealand's next generation of world-class racing drivers, because if you can dream it, we can do it.
Without a doubt, guys, the story of the weekend when it comes to Formula One, probably all motorsport, was the terrifying, the horrific, the truly bizarre. You could either call it lucky or you could call it extremely well planned and designed. Lap 1 of Bahrain, where Romain Grosjean diced with death and he walked away. Yes, he's got burns and he's very, very shaken. He's not going to be racing this weekend. But guys, I don't know about you. I went over that tape over and over again, just stunned, A, at the collision itself with the Armco barrier, but B, the fact he walked away. That is, wow. What do you say about things like that? It's gobsmacking, isn't it?
It is. And there are so many points to talk about there, Darcy. First of all, how did it happen? Well, it seems that Grosjean simply did not know that Kvyat was there, collided with Kvyat, went straight into the barrier and hit the barrier 53G, for goodness sakes. Car pierced the barrier. Now, that's the first thing. Should the barrier have given way or allowed him to pierce? Well, the way Formula One cars are built, with the nose at that height and they're so strong at the front, that was just like a missile hitting that. So I can understand how it did pierce it. Should there have been a fire? No, there shouldn't have been a fire. That's one of the biggest things they've got to examine. It's amazing that he got out of the car. Frankly, it's very amazing he got out of the car, because if he'd been unconscious, we might have had a very different outcome. None of us liked the halo when it came in. We thought it was unnecessary. Lots of famous drivers said, we don't really need this halo. Get on with what it was in the old days. That halo saved his life. He would have been decapitated. Quite simple. It saved his life. It's as simple as that. So am I against it now? I still don't like it, but it's an absolutely desperately important protection for the driver, as is the tub itself. Look at the tub in that car. It was just, I won't say untouched. It can't be untouched. It was covered in all sorts of smoke and stuff. The other big thing that you've got to understand as well is that if that had been on lap 3, somewhere over the back of the circuit, the outcome could have been different. The safety car was on lap 1, so the safety car was only just behind them, only 20 seconds away or 15 seconds away. Now, if this had been 2 laps into the race, safety car would have been parked. It takes an awful long time to get that safety car out on the circuit. So that could have been could have been a problem as well. I mean, there are so many, his wife said, miracles that came together to allow that one amazing escape to happen. It's almost like you can't describe all the bits and pieces that went together to allow that to happen. And from one, shall we say, a mistake, so much has been made of that accident. It's just amazing to think that somebody did get out of it, and now the Formula One have really got to examine what did happen, what could have happened, and how to prevent it in the future. Because you couldn't legislate that against that beforehand.
I think one of the interesting things to Darcy is the fact that it was only announced almost 24 hours before then that Grosjean was the #1 contender to go to AJ Foyt Racing in IndyCar next year under the management of Stefan Johansson. So here we had Grosjean making the headlines in the US about transferring to IndyCar for 2021 with Foyt, pairing up with Sebastian Bourdais. So you had two French drivers with the Foyt team. And then, literally 12 or so hours later, he's making the headlines for completely different reasons. So, a man making headlines without a doubt. But the big thing now will be, what the future holds for him. Clearly, the injuries were, he had burned hands, but other than that, he's an extremely lucky guy.
Yeah, I believe he broke a couple of ribs too. But something else that interests me, I know that a lot of the talk around when the Halo was first used, people talking about a bad accident and the ability for the driver to actually be able to get out of the car with that Halo. And would it stop him doing it? Now, plainly, he got out, so that didn't hinder him, which is magnificent. I take the point you were mentioning, though, Bob. Engulfed in flames, if he was unconscious, how would it have been the ability to get... And I'm really glad we're not talking about a situation where we've got it in Formula One. So there are a couple of points there that we can go, yes, it works, and a couple of points to go. And the big one for you, Bob, as you mentioned before, is why did that thing burst into flames? You just don't see that in Formula One anymore.
Yeah, there's all sorts of... speculative things going on. I've got no idea at the moment, nor have apparently some of the engineers no idea. Some said it was the collector pot of the fuel. Some said that it was the fuel cap coming off, or some of the breakaways, or something like that. I don't know. I've got no idea which one it was, but it shouldn't have happened. That's the bottom line. And let's go on. There was a red flag there. There was another problem later on as well when Lance Stroll was upended by Kvyat as it happened. And now you can take, Kvyat was given the blame for that and got a 10-second penalty. But the fact is that he could, Stroll could have given him room. Whatever happened, that car was upside down, resting on the halo. So, that thing is so, so strong. If you look at the photographs of the halo at the front of that car, after it had gone pierced steel barriers, basically, at unabated speed, with half the car on the track side and the other half basically buried in the fence or the other side of it, that halo actually stood up amazingly well. The technology that went into that, well, it was well served. If it's just saved one life in its whole history, it's one life or it's one good thing about it straight away.
Yeah, and also there's something else that we can't actually legislate against or put rulings in, the abject idiocy of marshals running on the track, and right at the very end of the guy scooted across the track, and I'm shaking my head going, have you got any idea what you were doing? It beggars belief that someone who's supposed to be involved in the safety of Formula One, someone marshal like that, would think it'd be a good idea to just go toddling across a racetrack around cars hitting the best part of 250 km.
That brought back memories of Tom Price in South Africa many years ago, many years ago.
Horrible memory.
But that was just that was stupidity, and it was a reaction on behalf of the marshal, maybe because of what happened to the Stroll, the Haas car before with Grosjean. Maybe he thought something similar is happening here. I don't know. Whatever was in his mind, it shouldn't have been there, and he shouldn't have done it. Simple as that. Overall, the race, well, what did we have? We had Hamilton win the race. Yeah, okay.
No.
Stroll away. Yeah, no, honestly, he did. There was a lot, as we predicted before, though, there was a lot going on all the way through the race, but it was the midfield runners. I mean, poor old Perez, goodness gracious, he's up there for a point and the Mercedes engine gives up. You've got to feel sorry for him there. That was such a shame. The McLaren would be very, very happy about it because neither of the racing points scored. And yes, Kay's asked it, an old one, but it's a good one, isn't it?
I guess another thing too, Bob, because we've criticised him before, but it was the first double podium for Red Bull racing.
Yeah. Alex Albon did that. He lucked in by his own admission because Perez.
There's no luck in racing.
There's no luck. Well, he said there is. Not me. I didn't say that, Das. No, he got in there because something broke. But what it means really now is that McLaren have leapt into third place in that Constructors' Championship, which is pretty good. And Racing Point have gone down to fourth. There's still only 40 points between, let's say, third and Ferrari in sixth. I can't see Ferrari overtaking McLaren, so I don't know what's going to happen. But we've got 2 more races left, and we're just going to see what does happen at this track next week, but in different form of this track next week, and then off to Abu Dhabi. The Drivers' Championship, Ricciardo, in fourth. I'm not worrying about the top 3 anymore. They're done and dusted. Although, I suppose Max Verstappen could actually overtake Valtteri Bottas if Bottas keeps having...
Performing, if you can call it that. Right?
Say again?
Keep performing like he is. I'm not quite sure performance or not, but there you go.
Yeah.
Domestic-wise, though, there's a lot happening this weekend.
Yeah, there is. I mean, there's a big meeting at Pukekohe this weekend. We've got all sorts of things going on there, and I did write out what's happening, and there's quite a lot happening at Puke. We've got, let's see, there's a Toyota 86, IQ Components Formula First. We've got the Honda Cup, GT3, GT4, the V8 Utes with GT1, GT2, Central Muscle Cars, Honda Cup and V8. So that's pretty good. But down in the South Island, there's quite a lot going on down there.
And last weekend, of course, Formula Ford.
Formula Ford, yeah. The Kartsport champion, Jacob Douglas, is getting his Formula Ford debut at Taronga this weekend, which is pretty good. I mean, he's been all over the world. For somebody so young, he's been racing, I don't know, where has he been racing? In the USA, Italy, Las Vegas again, all sorts of places. And the kid's now in a Formula Ford this weekend. It's going to be, and it's not a bad Formula Ford. It's run by Andy Neal, which is pretty damn good. Yeah. Andy Neal, of course, has seen an awful lot of drivers come through. And we got the South Island Formula 1600 Championships at Taronga, where Ethan Anderson is driving a Van Diemen Stealth. He's trying to depose James Penrose from the top position. That's, there's an awful lot of talent coming through. We're going to be we talked to Liam Lawson, as I say, but there's an awful lot of talent coming through after Liam Lawson. When you think Liam Lawson was that was the wave, he is still the new wave. No. There's a whole bunch of new waves coming through, and good on them as well. And a lot of them will be out there this weekend in that Formula 1600 Championship race at Taronga.
Yeah, overall, I guess we can say now summer's arrived because it's December. So it is officially summer. The domestic motorsport season's alive and kicking. Great development curve across South Island, Formula Ford, Formula 1600, whatever you want to call it. It's still Formula Ford to me. And the seasons are kicking off. So it's great, Darcy, and that's just where we bring our talent from. So there's plenty more to come.
When you look at the points actually in that Formula Ford down there, James Penrose at the top, Jack Noble Adams, Zach Christensen, then we go to Ethan Anderson, Steve Donaldson, Cameron Freeman. All these get down to, actually, I've just seen Kim Crocker, number 8. He can't be said to be a fresh talent, but nonetheless, there's some awful good talent there in this whole series, and they're racing this weekend. Got 3 more rounds to go, going all the way through to March 21. So it's good there.
So from our world headquarters here in Waitoki, pretty well done and dusted, you might say.
Yeah, we're all tied up from here in the beautiful suburb of Glen Eden out west of Auckland. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, share, like, subscribe. Feel free to comment as well. And same goes across Spotify, Radio Public and Anchor FM. On behalf of David Turner and Bob McMurray, this is Darcy Watergrave, wishing you a wonderful week.
You have a dream. You have all the drive in the world. You have talent to burn. Now all you need is a chance. Toyota are committed to developing and nurturing New Zealand's next generation of world-class racing drivers, because if you can dream it, we can do it.
Race Control Magazine is your IndyCar fan mag and so much more. Publishing monthly online on issuu.com, you'll find Race Control Magazine there for you to download and enjoy everything IndyCar and so much more. Behind the scenes features, race reports and the entire Road to Indy series are just part of what you'll find, along with stunning images captured from the series' leading photographers. Grab your copy today at issw.com to complete your motorsport read. Racing World is presented by Race Control Magazine.